Welcome to the Sellernomics podcast, sharing valuable tips and information in the Amazon and e-commerce space. Each week, we deliver the best interviews with some of the top Amazon personalities in the industry to help you grow your business. Today's episode is brought to you by GETIDA, the global leader in FBA auditing and reimbursements. And now, here is your host, Rob Stanley.
Hey everyone, Rob Stanley here, and we got a great one today, our special holiday edition of Sellernomics. I've got two great people coming on the podcast. I got Kevin King and Yoni Mazur coming on. We're going to be talking today about holiday season failure or success for Amazon sellers. That's a big topic and a lot to talk about. Let's get them into the room here. Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Rob?
Good.
What's going on, everybody?
How you doing, Yanni?
Good, Kevin. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, Rob.
Yeah. So anybody who's listening in right now, feel free to post questions as you go, or if you have any comments, we'd love to hear them. Hit that like and that thumbs up. But let's get it started. So Kevin, let's go with the most immediate announcement I just heard yesterday. And this was kind of a very unusual one, that Amazon decided to start building their own containers. And I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense. And I'm kind of thinking in my head, does that mean they may lead to actually doing their own shipping, like actual on a ship, cargo ship is what I mean. Obviously, they do their own shipping. What's your thoughts on that, Kevin?
Yeah, they've been doing that since like 2017. It's called Dragon. The nickname of it's Dragon Boat, and it's primarily for Chinese-based sellers. So all the people that we compete against, they're helping them out since 2017, and they've been doing that. But they were just contracting with other shipping lines, and it was just whatever containers came in with those shipping lines. And they were coordinating that whole logistics. But yeah, just earlier this year, they actually started making their own 53-foot containers, which are a little bit the longer ones. It has that big Amazon with the smile logo and everything on the side. And they're bringing in entire ship pools of those. They're renting out or leasing out some of these ships and bringing in complete ships. I think maybe what you saw, there might have been one that came into the port of Houston. I believe it was that was offloading an entire ship of Amazon containers. They're smaller ships, so they can't contain. The biggest container ships I think can take about 20,000 containers or so. 20-foot containers, the equivalent of 20,000. So if they're bigger, you got to half that. So they're bringing in on some smaller ships, 1,000, 2,000 container ships, some of their own stuff. And then my understanding is, some of those containers are not going back to China. They deliberately made them 53-foot so that they can then turn those containers into the backs, put them on trucks here and use them on trucking instead of buying the trucking trailers that you see the big semis pull. The 53-foot is a standard for the big size trucking rig here in the U.S. So they're just putting them on the road and then using them domestically, not even sending them a lot of them back. So I think it's pretty smart. I mean, Amazon logistically has become one of the biggest players out there. 4 or 5 years ago, they were shipping everything through FedEx and UPS and the U.S. mail. And I remember even when probably about 2016, 2017, all of a sudden I started getting deliveries on a Sunday from the U.S. mail. And I'm like, what the heck? The post office doesn't work on Sundays. It was they were delivering. They contracted with Amazon to actually deliver packages. And then UPS all of a sudden started. They didn't used to deliver on Saturdays. Or FedEx didn't deliver on the weekend unless you paid, $10, $20 premium, some sort of premium on the shipment specifically for those days. But now it's pretty standard, 7 days a week. You're getting deliveries, and a lot of that's because of Amazon. And Amazon has now become one of the biggest logistics players. I think they ship more than FedEx now, handle more logistics, ground logistics, and air logistics than FedEx. Not quite up to UPS, but they're approaching it. So it's huge. It's amazing how fast that they've been able to do this.
Yeah, what's amazing is they did this in like 5-6 years. FedEx is like what, 70 years, 60 years? It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean that's Amazon is a brilliant logistics company. I mean, from the way they handle all this, their warehouses and setting everything up to be able to handle all these shipments, and it's amazing. It's mind-boggling how whoever created this system, it's pretty mind-boggling. Pretty smart people.
Kevin,
yeah, definitely partnering.
Yeah. So Kevin, do you feel with them maybe trying to make some of these changes? I know you talk to sellers, Yoni talks to sellers, and he could chime in after this. Are you seeing that? I mean, we were only talking like maybe a couple months ago, there was a lot of delays, a lot of issues. Obviously some things happened in place with, I think some of the ports like Long Beach started going to 24/7, if I'm not mistaken. And, but have you seen since some of those little changes like that, have things picked up a little bit as far as getting product into the warehouses for sellers?
They went to 24/7, which helps some, but then they also implemented some fines and penalties, and that I think was a bigger motivator. Where if they weren't offloading this stuff and getting them out, it's like $100 a day, or I don't know the exact amount. There's some fines that kind of lit a fire under some of these companies to get their acting together. But yeah, I mean, I personally, we had a problem. We had a shipment sent over for one of my companies. That came through Long Beach. It cleared through Long Beach back in early June, and they got put on a rail to Chicago because our 3PL is in St. Louis, so it got sent by rail to Chicago, and arrived late June, early July to Chicago rail yard to get cleared out there. We just got it Monday.
Wow.
6 months, almost 6 months later, it was stuck in the Chicago rail yard. There was about 80,000 containers stuck in the Chicago rail yard. And there's a litany of excuses from we don't have people, it's COVID issues, there's mechanical problem, whatever. There's a ton of complaints. And we just got this. It killed our entire summer season. We had a product for the summer season on this. It killed it. So now we have it and it's out of season. But at least we have it. We kind of had almost written it off. And I'm hearing some other stuff is moving a little bit quicker. If you recall last year, there was like a shipping Armageddon with all kinds of delays with FedEx and UPS and the U.S. Post Office, especially. Priority packages last Christmas were supposed to be 2, 3, 4 day delivery. They were taking a week to 10 days, to 2 weeks sometimes, they were so understaffed. And I remember I do some drops here at the local post office at the back. I go to the back where all the trucks and everything are. And I remember last year it was just a cluster F back there. I mean, it was just a disaster. And this year it seems to be they got their act together. They figured out some problems, and I think that's generally the case. I mean, yesterday we had the outage, with AWS outage, and that caused some problems with Amazon deliveries and with a bunch of other stuff too, phone systems and all kinds of things. But I think it's much better this year. I think they're better prepared.
Yeah. And Yoni, what have you seen on, I know Yoni he covered a couple of trade shows prior to Black Friday or Cyber Monday. What were you hearing any buzz on anything regarding shipping like that, Yoni, or issues that were happening, or was it starting to get better?
Yeah, there was stress all around. People were anxious about it, especially the one sourcing from overseas. Actually, the one that were sourcing domestically, if they're the supplements or food or snacks, they're fine. They're U.S. manufacturing and sourcing is pretty stable, so they were in a good position. But yeah, a lot of stress. But the thing is, when Black Friday, Cyber Monday kind of kicked in, I tried to kind of ask around. I seen that the overwhelming majority of them were settled properly. Some of them mentioned that they wish they had more stock, and some of them were completely out of stock and basically took a big hit. But the overwhelming majority were fine. So the anxiety, there was one stage. The actual results so far is that it's fine. But listen, this is only December 8th. We got what, a week or 2 weeks before Christmas. So these next 2 weeks will be kind of a very interesting point to see when the race ends, so to speak. How if sellers had enough inventory and ammunition in their arsenal to get by and really maximize on sales. So we're in a very dramatic moment at this point.
I think you're seeing too, part of what's helping is I think the holidays are more evened out this year. It started a little bit earlier with people buying because they heard stories about shelves going to be empty and stuff like that. So they wanted to make sure they got what they really wanted. And then I'm seeing, at least in my sales, Black Friday wasn't a big spike. And I think I heard some reports that it might have actually been down slightly a little bit this year.
It's first time in history ever that Black Friday, Cyber Monday were actually lower than the previous year. So
hold on. Here's a question though. A lot of them started their Black Friday sales earlier though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Everything's more evened out. A lot of people are trying. A lot of retailers are trying to space it out so it's not just jammed. I mean, obviously that Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend was jammed. My condo place here, the mail room is just full of packages. I mean, you can't even walk in there. There's so many packages. But And I know my mailman yesterday, I was talking to him, just a local guy, and he's like, yeah, we've had to make 3 package runs today. 3 guys have had to come out just because we couldn't fit them all in the truck. So, but they're handling it. And I'm seeing that in my sales. My sales, actually my sales are higher right now. Since Black Friday, actually since Cyber Monday, every day the sales have gone up a little bit, slightly, or been about the same, and they're higher. All of those days are higher than Black Friday. That's why a lot of people, before the holidays started, I was on a few podcasts like, hey, what's your tips for, what's your strategy for Black Friday? What are you doing special? You put some special graphics on your images. You doing this? You doing some sort of sales? Like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing any sale. I'm not doing any promotion, because every day is a Black Friday from here on out, or better. And so I didn't do anything, even on my own websites where outside of Amazon, where consumers are buying directs. In the past, I would run Black Friday deals. I would send out an email. Sometimes I do 5 days of Black Friday. Okay, this day it's a 20% discount. Order this day, you get some sort of free gift. You order the next day, it's something, free shipping or whatever. And I do all these things. And this year I did nothing. And sales are up 20-30% despite that. And
Wow.
Why give away that money and do those promotions if you don't need to?
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. So as a buyer, right, because I haven't sold in a while, but as a buyer, I had a bunch of things bookmarked in my list and everything. And I was like, okay, I'm going to wait till Cyber Monday, see if they go on sale, or Black Friday. I would say probably of the 10 things, only maybe 3 or 4 actually went on sale. Like everything else, the price stayed the same. It didn't change. Probably because it was also like more brand name, higher end things. But I did notice even some of the non-brand name didn't really change. They didn't really do a discount. So that was interesting.
Yeah, I think a part of that, just to butt in here, is that think about it. If so many sellers have struggled to source their products, why would they give it away? Especially with there's so much momentum. If it was just a regular year where you have endless supply, technically speaking, because you always, ring up the factory and within a few weeks get a reload, and today's not that simple. That's why you got to be a bit more careful with your ammunition, right?
Yeah, supply and demand. I mean, and the prices are up. I think I just saw some other report that prices are up on Amazon. Someone did a study in 25% in general.
Inflation, baby, inflation.
Yeah, it's an inflation cost being passed along. I haven't felt that personally. I luckily I'm somebody that doesn't pay close attention to price. When I'm in the grocery store, if I want it, I put it in my cart. I'm not like, okay, this one's $1.99, this one's $1.87. Let me put the $1.87. I'm not.
I used to. I'll be honest. Full disclosure, I used to
throw it in.
Yeah, coming to America from another country at the early years, that was like that. Every little penny I was kind of very, careful with. But over time, as I was able to, develop a career and do business, and thankfully financially be, good, I value my time. That little time it takes me to think if it's a penny here or there, I can be out of the supermarket making money in, the business world. So I'm very lucky and blessed to be in this country.
So Kevin, you brought up the whole thing with obviously prices going up on Amazon. Speculating ahead a little bit, let's talk a little bit about, going back to the whole shipping with containers and everything. They just seem to keep going up. They keep going up. What's your feel?
It's stabilized right now.
Okay.
It dropped slightly, but the people that I'm talking to, like Steve Simonson and other people that are bringing in a lot more containers than I am, way more, they seem to think that it's going to stay high for a while. It may dip a little bit, but at least until 2023. And it may never go back to where it was. If a container was $2,000-3,000, there's additional fees on top of that. So when someone says it is $2,000 to $3,000 to ship a container, you got paperwork fees and you got duties and you got other stuff. So it costs actually more than that actually to bring a container in once you factor in all the little costs. But still, from $3,000 to 20, 25, 30 grand in some cases, I've heard stories of. I think it's going to probably not likely to go under 10 grand anytime soon. It may go up and down, it may stay stable, but the feeling I'm getting from a lot of people is they expect it to remain higher. Why would the shipment, if they can get it, it's the same thing we just talked about on Black Friday. Why do a discount if you don't need to? And so they don't need to. And so what's happening is big companies like Amazon, it's not just Amazon, you got Nike and Kohl's and Walmart, they're all chartering their own ships and stuff and doing their own containers to bypass some of these problems as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back though, we're going to talk more about holiday season failures or success for Amazon sellers. We'll touch on Walmart a little bit. I'd like to hear some opinions on that. We got some questions coming in. Keep those coming in right after this quick break.
Today's episode is brought to you by GETIDA, the global leader in FBA auditing and reimbursements. Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at getida.com/Sellernomics.
Yeah, so be sure to head on over to getida.com/Sellernomics, get that $400 in free FBA reimbursements. So we do have a couple questions coming in. So Kevin, it says, thank you for the stream. Took some advice back in the pandemic at ASGTG show. It's been good. I think they said they were supposed to say some things you are doing for ranking originally at launch. So it looked like maybe you had given some advice or something about some ranking.
Yeah, maybe something back in the pre-pandemic. Oh, yeah, I spoke at GTG a few times back, so maybe I shared some strategies there that he's saying that worked. And now
Nice.
they ask, is there some other stuff that I'm doing with ranking right?
Yeah, it's probably because of the whole crackdown on search fund buy and rebates and how to you spike up the the ranking. So he's asking organically if there's basically what are you doing right now for ranking? If there's anything special you can share with us.
Yeah, I mean, as most of you know, the search find buy that most people are doing, it's been basically frowned upon and outlawed by Amazon. That doesn't mean people aren't still doing it, but they're adjusting the way they're doing it. I don't recommend that. You're going against the terms of service and you're just playing with fire. But there are people that are still doing. They just made a few changes. I know a lot of software companies have taken away their ManyChat flows, their search find buy flows that had some of those companies. So it's cleaning up a lot of stuff, but there's still a lot of ways to rank on Amazon. And the way that I'm recommending that most people do it is lowering the price. So if the way I recommend is if your price is $20 for your item, come out with $1.99, $2.99, something crazy low, and then run heavy PPC, top of search PPC, and do it that way. Now, and because the reason for that, and you don't need reviews. People will take a gamble on something that's $2 or $3 without reviews, but they won't take a gamble if it's $20. So they might take a gamble on it. So they're much more willing to try your product with 0 reviews. And then you just work your way up on the price. It's the same strategy I did like in 2015, 2016. Back then there was, you could actually write and get people to buy your product and write a review. And as long as they posted a disclaimer and a whole different set of rules. And I remember it was October 3rd, 2016 when Amazon put the hammer down on the old ranking. So it's constantly evolving, but a lower price and then slowly raise it up over time. And you got to make sure you put your minimum and your maximum price settings in your account. Otherwise, you may lose the buy box as you're changing the price. But if you do that, I think you can have great success. And yeah, you're going to lose money on every single sale. But if you're doing search, find, buy, and doing rebates, you're paying fees and losing money anyway. It's just a cost of doing business, cost of getting in the door. And I recommend most people don't start with the big keywords. Title density right now is something that a lot of people, Bradley at Helium 10 has talked about this on his podcast and done a couple blog posts on it. But it's a new feature that's in Helium 10. It'll tell you the title density. And what that basically means is how many people are using your exact keyword phrase that you're targeting in their title. So if my keyword is garlic pressed for Christmas. Let's say that's my keyword, 4 words, garlic press for Christmas. And how many people are using that exact phrase, garlic press for Christmas, in that exact order, not just those words sprinkled in the title, but in exact order in their title that are showing up on page 1. And it's typically, depends on the category. Page 1 can be 24, 40, 50, up to 60 products. So typically go about 60 deep. How many people are using that exact phrase in their title? And that's called title density. And the fewer that are doing that, I like to see less than 6. The fewer that are doing that, the better the chance you have to rank on that page, even from day 1 in some cases. The more people that are doing that, the more competitive it's going to be. So if you can find keywords that have low search volume, 300, 500, less than 1,000, and start there on your launch. And make sure you have in your title, you have all the big keywords. If there's some keyword that has 50,000 searches a month, make sure you have that in your title so you get a little bit of credit for it for every sale. But then target the ones that have 300, 500 that are much lower lying fruit, that don't have a lot of competitors, that have title density. So you find the ones those keywords that are relevant to your product that don't have a lot of competitors with that keyword in the title. And a lot of times you can get to page 1 really quick, and you're not going to make hundreds of sales and get rich overnight. but you can slowly build this up over 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months to page one for almost everything if you do it right. And start with those keywords and work your way up to the bigger keywords. And the good thing about the smaller keywords, they usually have a higher conversion rate. So a keyword that has 20,000 searches a month, maybe only 5% of the people that search that keyword end up buying something off of that search result. They end up going around and going down different rabbit holes, versus a keyword that's very targeted, only 300 or 500. It's very niche, and the keyword conversions on those can be 40, 50% in some cases. So you can still track up a lot of sales by doing that. You're not going to have the huge sales. 5% of 20,000 is a lot more than 40% of 300, but you can start there and build up. And that's how I'm recommending most people launch.
Yeah, no, that's good information. And, one thing I do want to cover, but real quick, we got a quick shout out from Danon. Danon, I'll see you in a couple days in Miami. Thanks for tuning in with Kevin and I. If you got any good questions, be sure to throw them up there. But Kevin, so I had Carrie Miller on from Helium 10 a couple of weeks ago, and she was showing me the Walmart tool. Mm-hmm. And one thing I kind of walked away from it was my first time kind of seeing it and being in depth with it. There's a lot of room. There's a lot of room to grow in the Walmart space. Have you done anything with the Walmart yet, or kind of what's your feel on that whole scenario?
Yeah, I did something with Walmart in 2016, 2017 when they first started, but I'm not doing anything right now. Back then I tried it and it just was a waste of time for me. I mean, but now I'm, like you said, Carrie, there's a lot of people that are having pretty good success there. I know some people are doing better on Walmart than they are on Amazon. I just have not personally taken the time to actually go over and do it. Walmart's pretty picky on who they take, so not just anybody can sign up. I mean, I'm invited, but I'm just saying, if you're listing out there, it's not just, you got to typically have a track record on Amazon or somewhere else for them to take you. But once they do, there's a lot of opportunity there, and it does seem to be growing. It's still pretty small compared to Amazon, but there are some niches over there that are wide open, and I think it's a different type of buyer. It's a different type of mentality. So you can't just take your Amazon listing and just throw it up on Walmart. You got to modify it for that customer base and that avatar. But it's a great place to test. I'm hearing stories of people that get into Walmart.com, their product does good, and then the buyers in Arkansas are like, hey, these products are doing good. Let's have a talk and let's test them in the stores. So it's a great doorway to get into the stores. And the stores, if you can get into all of their stores, I mean, usually they start with a small test and they ramp it up, but that can be huge. That could be way bigger than anything you do online with Walmart.
Absolutely. Question did come in. I'm just going to summarize. It was a little bit long. And I think what they're trying to ask was, prior to coming into Q4, what's your kind of thoughts on using either a micro influencer or influencer around your product to maybe try to get some of that momentum going before you get into the Q4 timeframe?
I think it's anytime, whether it's Q4 or anytime, influencers can be good, micro influencers can be good. But the problem is probably 95% of the people that try to use influencers fail. There's a lot of people that teach this, hey, you got to build an audience, you got to have influencers, have them promote your product. Most of it doesn't work because they don't do it right. Or they're targeting the wrong people, or the people aren't passionate or are not behind the product. So if you do it right, it can have great success. There's some people like on TikTok right now. If this person looking at influencer and stuff, I wouldn't be messing with Facebook hardly at all on that. I would be focusing on TikTok right now, especially if your product is aimed at someone that's under 34 or 35 years old. I would be really focusing on TikTok. If you're selling something that's a cream for senior women, TikTok's not your place.
That's the truth.
Pinterest or some place like that, maybe Instagram, but more Pinterest probably would be your place. But make sure your target audience is in that social media platform predominantly. But TikTok, there's some people doing really, really good on TikTok with unboxings, and there's some influencers that are teaching that are promoting Amazon products that are cleaning up.
Yeah,
tell me.
Actually, Yoni, a question came in for you. So actually, somebody was asking about, and I think it was related back to the Walmart. Is GETIDA going to eventually start doing refunds and reimbursements for Walmart?
So yeah, we do have our eyes on it. The thing is, compared to what's going on FBA, it's you know how they say a drop in the bucket. It's not even a drop in the ocean compared to volume. So there's not enough data for us to actually need to build anything. But we have our eyes on it, and as it snowballs and matures, we're definitely going to be in that realm to help out the sellers.
There you go.
One thing I would
Right.
also be careful of, and this is where, you know, if you're not using GETIDA, you may want to consider using GETIDA, is right. You know, I shipped in some products back in October. They're 4 seasonal products, and they're wall calendars actually for one of my companies, and every single one of those has different measurements in Amazon. The correct measurement is 12 inches by 12 inches by 0.2 inches. And the correct fee, Amazon FBA fee, should be about $3.50 roughly. Plus, Amazon, it's a $20 item, so it's 15% commission on top of that. So I should be paying somewhere in the neighborhood of $5-6 total out the door.
All in, yeah.
All in. Well, some of mine are. One of them is $7. One of them is $12. One of them is $9. They're all over the place. These guys can't measure. And then something happened where they self-corrected one of them, but they still corrected it wrong. They took it from $11 to $8. But so if you're not watching that, that's going to add up, because some of these are selling a couple hundred units a day. So that's, you know, $500 a day per item right now that I'm losing. And it's, you know, I use GETIDA. So at some point here later this month, I'm going to say, go get them. You know, I don't want to mess with it just right this second, because I don't want to screw something up where during the holidays, or I've had bad luck before where I filed a claim with Amazon 2017. I was doing 15-20 grand a day on these Apple Watch docks that I developed, and just doing gangbusters. And this is before GETIDA existed, or any of the other tools out there that do a similar thing. And someone posted on Facebook, hey, here's how you can write to Amazon and get some money back if they screw up. If they lose some stuff on your shipment, or if they mismeasure or whatever. And I had a shipment that came out, shipped in 500, and Amazon said they only got 490. And so I was like, well, I followed the steps and said, hey, you owe me for these 10. Well, Amazon, what they did is they suspended the listing to do what's called a bin check. And I was like, what the heck's a bin check? And I go, we got to go check 2 different warehouses and, you know, do a verification or some sort of audit. So in the meantime, we can't have stuff moving around. I'm like, forget the 10. I don't care. Just put the listing back up. You can keep the money. I don't care. But that cost me. So ever since then, I've been gun shy. Like it's during the middle of the season right now. And if I go in and file a claim, say, hey, you messed this up, I'm afraid that someone's going to screw up in the computer when they're fixing the measurement and screw something else up. And so I'm like, I'm just going to wait. And then I'll tell Yanni and the guys, hey, it's time.
Yeah, when everything is a good time, let us know. The good news is we can go back, and it's not going forward; it's going backwards. So the time is understood.
I actually have it on my calendar. October 5th, 90 days from October 5th is like January 2nd or whatever it is.
Nice.
I try to do it before then, a week before then.
Great.
Nice.
We'll
there you go.
I actually wanted to touch back on the influencer side, Kevin. So you said, you know, you got to find the right influencer. You know, it has to make sense if it's TikTok, Pinterest, stuff like that. But the strategy is to get like one, or to get maybe a variety of them. Does it make any difference?
Don't answer that. We got to take a quick commercial break. Kevin's going to answer that right when we come back.
Did you know that Amazon probably owes you money for FBA reimbursements? Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at GETIDA.com/Sellernomics.
All right. So go ahead, Yoni. Yoni was asking more about the micro influencers. And then I do want to kind of not wrap up, but want to make sure talk a little bit about going into Q1, maybe some tips from Kevin. But go ahead, Yoni. What was your question again?
Yeah, the question is on the strategy with influencers. Do you think the strategy should be just pick 1 or 2, or you kind of create a variety of 10, 20 and keep engaging with them? Any thoughts on that?
I would go after as many as you can. You know, and that's one of the things someone asked about the launching earlier. That's some of the things that some of these launch services, some of them are switching to kind of an influencer type of program, where if they had people that were buying on the search find buying, getting rebates before, most of those people have social media accounts. So a lot of those people they're not big influencers, you know, in the space. So it doesn't always have to be a big influencer. It can be, you know, your family. It can be your friends. It can be, they have influence too. It's just like when you're going to a movie, you know, it's people say, hey, you should go see the new Spider-Man movie, and you take the recommendations of your friends. The same thing with products. So you can actually use your own network. And if they post it, say, hey, my buddy Kevin just launched his new garlic press. Check it out on Amazon if anybody needs one for Christmas. Yeah, you're probably not going to sell a whole lot off of them. They're not some big influencers going to sell 100 of them, you know, in a couple of days. But if 1 or 2 people buy that. Some of them zero will buy, but one or two, and you got 50, 100 people that do that. That adds up, and it adds up, and Amazon loves it. From the traffic coming from social media, if you give them a canonical URL, you can help you with your rank, or if you're part of the attribution, and you get that 10% back. There's so many things you can do there. It's just people are so used to this instant gratification. I want to launch and be on page 1 tomorrow. You got to get out of that mindset.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And so let's talk about a few tips for either new seller. You know what? I'm going to switch this up a little, Kevin. I always like throw kind of curveballs at you. Kevin's done a lot of presentations, been to a lot of, let's say, where he's giving advice and telling people how to sell and everything. There's got to be a question that comes up all the time from either new sellers or even existing sellers. Maybe give us your top 2 questions you always hear and an answer for each of those. And I'm sure they're probably long ones, but go ahead, Kevin.
Oh yeah, probably the number one is, how much money do I need if I want to sell on Amazon? How much money does it take to start selling on Amazon? And the answer is it depends. I mean, to do it right does take to do it right and a little bit quicker. It takes money, but you could start with, there's people in Pakistan. There's a huge group of like 800,000 people called enablers in Pakistan. A lot of them are VA, some of them are Amazon sellers. They're starting with $500 or $1,000. Some of these guys, some of them start a little bit more, and it's just, what are they trying to do? But if for $1,000 you can get some really niche down product, you're going to sell a couple a day. It's not going to be some gangbuster runaway multi-million-dollar company really fast, but for them that can be life changing. If they can make $500 profit a month off their Amazon business, or $1,000, that's huge. I mean, because the average wage over there is $300-400 a month. So if they can make $1,000 a month in profit, that's life changing for their family. For us, me and Yanni, that's a trip to the grocery store or something, because we don't pay attention to the price. Like we said,
I got 3 kids. You better know
yeah,
it.
that's right. That's not that much. So it depends on what your goals are. And so I think a lot of people get into this and they want more instant gratification. They want to quit their job that they're working now and do this and be able to support themselves overnight. And that's difficult to do unless you come into it with a lot of money. And so the amount of money you need depends. You can start small. I recommend 5 to 20,000. It would be, or more would be ideal, depending on what you're doing, but you can do it with less. So that's probably the number 1 question. The number 2 question is probably, is this Amazon, selling on Amazon, as it jumped the shark? Is it just, should we just be doing Shopify? Should we be doing something else? And the answer is no. Just like Yanni just said, Walmart's a drop in the bucket compared to Amazon. Amazon is still the big grill in the room. 60, depending on who you listen to, 60, 70% of e-commerce sales go through Amazon. Amazon is still the place to be. And is it competitive? Yes. In some categories, extremely competitive. But is there great opportunity there? Yes, there's tremendous opportunity. It's only getting better. It doesn't mean it's getting easier, but the opportunity is getting better. And if you approach it with the right mindset and it's a true business opportunity, there's no better place in the world to launch a product than on Amazon. And then probably the follow-up question to that would be, well, should we just have all our eggs on Amazon? Should we be selling on Walmart and Shopify and all these other places? And the answer is eventually yes, but I would recommend not doing that too soon. Don't focus on Amazon, master Amazon. And sometimes it's better to expand to Amazon Canada from the US or Amazon Europe than it is to start a Shopify site, because you already know the systems, you already know everything. And it depends on, the traffic is already there on Amazon. You're taking advantage of all these eyeballs that are already there. If you start something else, your own Shopify site, like I'm just going to run, you're going to have to run Facebook ads. You're going to have to get the eyeballs there. And that's expensive. People complain that Amazon, I just saw some report, some media person was trying to make a story about Amazon is screwing small business owners, taking 30 to 40% of the sales price. And that's just screwing people. And it's not fair. It's totally fair. Go try to do that on your own on Shopify and see what you got to pay for ads to get those leads. See what the conversion rate is, 1 or 2% instead of 8 to 10%, or it's totally fine. And Amazon is raising some fees next year, and that's just part of it. That's business, and you got to adapt with that.
I want to add on to that, Kevin, because something you just said right there. Also remember who's shipping that product for you as part of that scenario. Who is storing your product in the warehouse, even though you're paying some? If you had to go get your own warehouse, hire your staff to ship everything and package it and all that, start thinking about what those fees cost. And Kevin knows I'm old school. I did 20 years of e-commerce when there was no there's no Shopify, there was no Amazon. I had to have a warehouse, staff, people to, run Google ads, things like that. there's a lot more cost involved than people think. So realistically, your fees you're paying are up there, but they would be possibly even worse if you're doing it yourself. So,
and you can sell 500 units of something and test it at the scale of someone that's selling 1 million units. You can't do that on your own Shopify site. You get to pipe into this massive scale, this massive machine at a little small level that just would be impossible somewhere else.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap up here real quick. I've got one more question that did come in for you, Kevin, and then I'll have Yoni also pop in and if he has any last few comments to add in. It is kind of early. We're not quite to Christmas yet, but a person was asking, do you see, like, is this year better than last year is kind of what they're asking. Have you seen that so far? Does it look like sales are better this year than the previous year?
Yes, for me personally, yes, they are. I am up about 20-25% this year. And I expect that to continue. One thing is you were asking a question earlier about the first quarter. Remember, the first quarter is still good on Amazon. A lot of people think, oh, well, Christmas is here, Hanukkah's passed, Christmas is here. That's it. No, January is really good, especially on Amazon, because not only for products that are New Year's resolutions, fitness products and supplements and stuff do really well, but everything in general does well after Christmas because people get gift cards for Christmas, Amazon gift cards.
They get cash bonuses from work.
Yeah, they get bonuses from work. They got something as a gift that was bought on Amazon. Amazon allows you to return stuff until January 31st. It was bought from October 1st. So they got something as a gift. Like, I don't want this. I'd rather have something else. So there's a lot of exchanges, and they're exchanging some other seller's thing for your thing. So keep that in mind. That January can be a very, very good month on Amazon. Almost as good as December in some cases.
Yeah. Go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah, I see here just to tweak the question here. So in terms of impressions, you see there, for your case, a drop of impressions, but increase in conversion rate compared to last year.
Seeing a drop in no, I'm not really seeing a drop in impressions. No.
Same amount of impressions, conversion rate pretty much the same.
Conversion rates actually might be slightly lower, a point lower or something probably right now than last year over year, but there's more people looking.
Got more eyeballs. So more eyeballs, even though with a drop of conversion rate, the more eyeballs covers up for the drop. So overall, you're up 25%.
Yeah, the 1% drop doesn't worry me. That's just fluctuations.
Got it. Yeah.
All right, Yoni, any last tips for anybody on this holiday season or going into Q1?
Yeah, just connecting what to Kevin was saying. Amazon is an amazing testing ground and entry gate to the world of e-commerce. Focus your resources there. Be a student of the game. Keep on tweaking and keep your eyes and ears open to what's working, what's not working. It's hyper dynamic. And that's it. Wishing everybody successful end of the year, an amazing start for 2022. That's it. Hard work forever pays. So keep it up.
Kevin, go ahead. If you have any last things you want to, advice you want to give or anything you'd like to plug, we're more than happy to do that.
No, I'm just saying good selling out there and good luck, everybody. Hope you have a great holiday season. Be safe and take a little time for yourself and enjoy it. Don't just work.
Yeah, and I'm going to give, I do have to give Kevin a little plug. So $1 Billion Seller Summit, never been to it. My first time was this year. Had an amazing time, amazing information. Let me tell you, I can't even talk about it. I promised I would, Kevin, there we won't even talk about it. But let me tell you, some of the, a lot of people will say like a lot of stuff's recycled and things like that. Kevin makes sure everything's fresh, new. So if you're a seller that's looking for a show, and not that there's not other amazing ones out there, don't get me wrong, but I had a chance to go to Kevin's $1 Billion Seller Summit, and it was absolutely incredible.
There's 2 of them coming up next year. There's 2 of them coming up. Keep in mind, the one is virtual. I believe it's in February or March.
Yep. In February.
And the physical one in Austin, Texas, which I love, is going to be in August.
August.
Yep. And GETIDA is a sponsor, so thank you guys for all your support. You've been there since the very first one.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was an amazing event. If you get a chance to go, it's well worth it and some great information. Kevin, thanks again for coming on this holiday special edition Sellernomics podcast. I will be getting Kevin on next year, just me and him, and we'll be talking about tips and all kinds of facts, and we'll probably go old school again like we did before because some of those old school things still work. That's the cool thing. So, well, thanks again, Kevin and Yodi, for being on. I do appreciate it, and y'all have a good day.
Take care, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Sellernomics podcast. Special thanks to our sponsor, GETIDA. Did you know that Amazon probably owes you money for FBA reimbursements? Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at GETIDA.com/Sellernomics. Be sure to join us again next week for more great tips on how to grow your business. And thanks again for listening.